Good afternoon and welcome to FlossTube number 43. It's been several months since last we spoke. I'm sorry for that. It's just that I'm fine. It's just that other things in life seemed to take priority, and I just didn't want to add one more thing for a while. So, but I'm here now, and I'd like to say I'm back. I would really like to be doing these videos on a much more regular basis, but part of the thing I have to do with my FlossTube for my own well-being is not put too much obligation on myself to do these videos. Just do them if I feel like it and if it works for me. Otherwise, it'll be negative and I will stop doing them. So entirely. So, but I'm happy to be back today, and I have. Let's see, this will be, I've been stitching and I've been crocheting. I've really been cross-stitching a lot in the past few weeks. Flipping over to the new year has really done a lot for me that way. Let's see, today is Monday, January 25th, 2021. Yes, we finally made it to 2021. Anyway, the last few weeks I've been stitching quite a lot. I've taken up WIPGO again. Last year I had started doing WIPGO at the beginning of the year, and then in the middle of the March, when the world turned itself upside down, I basically dropped it. And I've started it up again this year, and I'm so far doing very well with it. I also was finally able to join Semi-Sane Stitchers on Facebook, which I'm enjoying quite a bit, and I'm finding quite motivating to keep me going on things. So I have several items to show you. I'm not going to do haul because it's been so long, and I haven't really spent up a storm, but because it's been like 4 months or so since I did a video, I have, and with Christmas and stuff, I just have too much, and so I'm not going to show it to you. I'll just show you those things as I use them, and I think I managed to gather all the projects that I have worked on since August. It's not as many as you would think because I wasn't stitching as much as I would have liked to between August and January. I was still stitching regularly, just not as much as I usually do. And also I have been stitching more monogamously, like working on things for longer periods of time. And coming back to them and things like that, as opposed to flitting from as many projects to others as I usually do. So, but I brought my WIPGO board to talk about, and all the several projects I've worked on since August when I last spoke to you, and I also brought several crochet projects that I have completed since we last spoke, because I've been crocheting quite a bit too. Okay, let's just get started. I don't have any notes, which is weird for me. I only have one finish, one cross stitch finish to show, and it's something I think I started and completed since last we spoke. And but even though I don't have a lot of finishes, I have had some really respectable progress on some big projects and stuff, so I'm not entirely displeased. But I started and finished Joe's Garage. It's a Mill Hill kit. Sometime, I think in September or so, I did this, and I made this not exactly for my dad, but with him in mind. My dad's name is Joe, and he's kind of an old-fashioned guy, and he likes to work on cars and that sort of thing. So I thought of him while I stitched this, and but I don't think I'd give it to him because I don't think he necessarily would care. But I did stitch it kind of with him in mind. So, and I love these Mill Hill kits. I could do Mill Hills, like just Mill Hills, and be pretty happy. So there's that. I started and finished that sometime this fall. Another thing I did was I kind of do this sort of in order. Another thing I worked on, I think shortly after we last spoke, is Halloween in Quilt. Let's see, by Corey E. Batakori, Halloween in Quilt. That's what it should look like when it's finished. I'm doing this on 46 count. It's 46 count. I've lost the autumn something, maybe just autumn. 46 count autumn. It's a huge piece of fabric. I bought it at Stitch Con when I went to the first Stitch Con, and there is where I am. I believe when last we spoke, I'm going to try to minimize the editing on this video, because that's part of my motivation problem with doing these videos is how much editing is required, which I confess my husband does most of, but it takes up my time. We sit and do it together, and it does feel like a chore. So so I'm going to describe where I can as opposed to showing pictures all the time. So I had, when last we spoke, I had still probably about half of this first block to do, and I had not started the second block, and I love this. The colors in this are amazing. It's turning out just beautifully. This will not be my last pattern by this designer, because I think her patterns are just amazing when it comes to the look of them, the color combinations, and just the sort of crisp design. I have another one of hers that I haven't started, but there are a lot of her patterns I really like. So this will not be the only one I do of hers. This will probably be the only thing I ever do on 46 count. I think that 22 count Aida, which is the equivalent of 44 count, and 40 count linen or even weave are about my limit. This 46 count is, I can see it fine. I mean, I have a good magnifying light, but it's just not that fun to work on physically. Something about the holes, they're just a little too close together, and so I use the sewing method. I stitch in hand, and I use the sewing method, and the holes are really just too close together to make that. If you don't do the sewing method, you might not understand, but the holes are just a little too close together, and it just doesn't work very well. And so I end up doing not much of the sewing method, more going all the way out and all the way back up with each stitch, which really slows me down and just doesn't really suit my preferences. So this will be probably the last project I do on 46 count, just because turns out it's just not my favorite, but it does look amazing. That's obviously one, well, I don't know if it's obvious. It's one strand over two. Okay, another thing I worked on recently was Dimensions Gold Collection Coastal View. And I've had this project for a few years, and it gets worked on pretty regularly. It's being done on a 28 count. It's not the fabric that came with it's not the fabric that came with the kit. I absolutely hate the Aida that comes with Dimensions kits. So I just don't use it. I'm not anti-Aida. I'll show you a project later on that I am using Aida on, and I enjoy almost any kind of fabric. I like working on Aida. I like working on perforated paper. I like working on perforated plastic. I like working on all kinds of linen. I'm not a snob. I like to experience all different things, but the Aida that comes with Dimension Gold kits, or any of the Dimensions kits I've seen, it's super stiff and pretty crappy quality, and usually it's cut a little smaller than I'd like it to be. So I always switch out the fabric. I do use the flosses that come with it. I put in a lot of stitching on this. I won't show you a picture of this either. But when last you saw it, basically I put in thousands of stitches, but all filling in the tunnel stuff. And when last you saw it, there would have been a good amount of the tunnel filled in, but you would have seen a lot of gaps, a lot of blank, a lot of a lot of this wasn't solidly filled in. And now I've got a lot of it really solidly filled in, and it looks amazing. And I'm doing it on a 28 count. Even weave. No, it's a linen of some sort. It's not 28 count white linen is all it says. It's not as Wi-Gard. It might be a week's. I'm not sure what it is. I got it. I won it in a giveaway, I think, and I've never known exactly what it is, but I do like it. So, so there's that. I really like this project. Let's see. Then I don't usually do sals, but I've been wanting to do, and I think I even talked in my last video about wanting to do an Autumn Lane stitchery pattern because she has so many amazing patterns. And I kept seeing her advertisements for the Dark Queen of the Sea sal, and also known as Not a Mermaid, etc. Anyway, I thought, well, that's the perfect opportunity. So I went ahead and I joined the sal. I bought it. I bought the kit that came with all of the specialty threads and beads and the fabric. I also went ahead and another first for me. I might have done it. I don't think so. I think this is my first experience with opalescent fabric. So I went ahead and got the opalescent, that's the Under the Sea Fabrics Opal 32 count Bewitched is what it is. And this is where I'm at. I am all caught up. In a few days we'll have another part. But for the moment, I'm all caught up. That is one of my goals for this year, is to stay caught up on this piece and have it done. And so far I have managed. The most intense stitching on this piece has been the hair and the face. And oh, and my hair is blue. The hair and face installment of the pattern came with 2 different color options, and then additionally you could buy color options, and blue was one of the options that it came with. And the hair and the face is slightly different too. It was 2 different. The purple haired combination that she also offered had a slightly different eye color and stuff like that. So anyway, she offered lots of different options for the hair, and I appreciated that. Another thing that she's doing, she's offering different options along the way. And one thing she did, you see she's got on a very sexy dress. There is a NSFW version of this where she basically doesn't have the top part of her dress where you see nipples, etc. And I think that's great. It's not what I want hanging on my own wall. I don't really, that's just not my style. But I think it's great that she's offered that option to people. So anyway, so far so good. I'm keeping up with it. There'll be another installment out in a few days, and I'm able to get this stitched. Even when I was stitching, my stitchy bug was a little iffy over the past several months. I was still able to keep up with her, get caught up, and I'm happy about that. And that is Dark Queen of the Sea Sal by Autumn Lane Stitchery. Next, okay, so then let's talk about WIPGO, because then January the other things I have to show have to do with January WIPGO goals. So Jessie Marie of Jessie Marie Does Stuff is doing her WIPGO thing again this year. Congratulations to Jessie, because she just had a baby I think a couple weeks earlier than the due date. So that's very exciting. And anyway, this is my WIPGO board. It's, you know, not super fancy, but for the first month was called Space 6 and Space 18, and the free space in the middle were all called. And for me, Space 6 was 10 days on Death by Cross Stitch. I have taken a page from Pam and Steph Just Keep Stitching's book, and I am doing mostly 10-day goals on my projects, just so I can see real progress on them. So Death by Cross Stitch, I had a goal of working on it 10 days this month, and the month's not over, of course, but I did work 10 days on Death by Cross Stitch, and I'm not going to show you a picture of where it was. I'll just describe it. But here I am now. So, doesn't it look awesome? I always get a big response to this one when I post it on Instagram. Oh, I forgot to say, I'm CMD, that's Cat Mother Dog, CMD586 on Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram. This is on 36 count platinum linen by Zweigert. I've got a loose thread on it. Not a hand dyed, just platinum. 36 count. I'm doing this 2/2. The threads I'm using are 2 different Threadworks threads. What I have decided is the borders is in a darker Threadworks variegated called Mediterranean, and the inside motifs, and you know, you could argue about what's borders and what's inside, etc. But you know, I'm just deciding. The darker is Mediterranean by Threadworks, and the lighter stuff is Blue Swirl, also by Threadworks. And I'm doing it 2 strands over 2 on 36 count because I'm a 2/2 on 36 count girl. That is my absolute favorite in terms of ease of stitching and coverage and just the way it looks, and I just love it. So, and Threadworks are also some of my favorite threads. So what I had done when last we spoke, I've now finished page 7 and gotten into page 8, but because page 7 is kind of like here. But when last we spoke, I just sort of had a start on this big center motif. I had the sea in and I had some of the lion in, but I didn't have like any of this to speak of. So this motif here was quite demanding. It took me a lot longer than I thought it would, but I am now well into page 8 of this project. So pretty happy with the progress I saw over 10 days. I put in more than 5,000 stitches. So one of my goals, but it's not a hard and fast thing, is I like to try to stitch on a good stitching day. I like to try to stitch at least 500 stitches. And on a really good stitching day, when I'm really motivated, I can stitch like 800 or more. As part of Semi-Same Stitchers, I've been really keeping a lot of track of my stitches, and most days I kind of get around 800 or 900 stitches in when I count. And if I'm not feeling motivated, what I have found is that I can stitch about 500 and then be like, okay, I'm going to quit and crochet or read or do something else. And I feel good about that because I still got a good amount of stitching in. Okay, so one of my other goals on my board was 10 days on Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. And I have done, I'm working on my 8th day on it. And so you can see 10 plus 8 is only 18. So what have I been doing with the rest of the month? Well, one of my other goals this month, with each month, is to keep caught up. It's not really on my WIPGO board, although I've written it on here. One of my other goals is to keep caught up with the Dark Queen of the Sea. So it took me several days to work to get through this month's release of Dark Queen of the Sea. And also I had the free space, which is a new start on this board. So I have a new start to show too. And finally, I also have, not on the board, but another goal I've written down is I want to work 1 day a month on Let Freedom Ring by Lila's Studio. So, which I bought when it first came out and I have not worked very much on, but it is beautiful and I want to work on it. So I haven't done that yet, but I did work my 10 days on Death by Cross Stitch, and I worked however many days I worked. I have it written down somewhere, but I got all caught up on Dark Queen of the Sea, and I made a new start. So with all of that, I have only put in, this is my 8th day on this project. So today, tomorrow, and the next day, that's the 27th of January, still leaves me a few days with which to stitch whatever, and also in that few days, put in a day on Let Freedom Ring, because I haven't worked on that yet this month. So anyway, this will be easy to tell you where I was. I had not done, when last you saw this, which would have been quite some time ago, I had stitched the whole top row and the center motif, the ship in the center. So during the last 7 and a piece days, because today is not over yet, I stitched this box here, this block here, and which I just absolutely love that house. Oh my gosh, so what a great design that house is. I'm not one of those who really likes stitching houses. I don't dislike them. I know some people really just love stitching houses. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about them. But that is a beautiful house, and I really love the look of it. So I have, this block is not as done as I'd like it to be. I'm hoping that I can finish it in this 10 days. If I can't finish it in this 10 days, once I also put in a day on Let Freedom Ring, I'll probably try to come back to this. If I can, I'll probably try to come back to this and finish it. If not, that's okay. But because I want to get my WIPGO goals in, prioritize those, but come back to it when I have time for it. Because but there's more than you think left. So like there's sailboats, I think, on either side of here, and then there's some sort of like abstract motif on either side up there, and then there's some water, and there's going to be grass filled in all down here. So it's like, it's pretty easy, but it's a fair amount of stitching still left to do. So but because most days for WIPGO, most days have most months, except for this month, you know, we'll have just 2 drawn a month. And for me, for most of those goals are 10-day goals. That's 20 days plus however many days it takes me to work on, to stay caught up on Dark Queen of the Sea, which will be done before this year is over, and 1 day on Let Freedom Ring. That should leave several days of which to do whatever I feel like, stitch whatever I feel like, or come back to this, or, you know, these goals are really yearly goals, so even to work ahead on something that's really calling to me. And so anyway, I should be able to get this done, even if I don't get it done in the 10 days. All right, so then I had a free start, and I just needed this free start to be something I didn't have to think too hard about. And so my husband for Christmas got me a couple of kits, and one of the kits he bought me, for my husband, I usually give him a very large wish list. I don't give him access to my whole 1, 2, 3 stitch wish list or anything, but I sent him a long list. And then we each have a budget for how much we're planning to spend on each other. So I send him a long list, and then it's up to him to just pick and choose things off that list and get them for me. And one of the things on my list was a Bothy Threads kit. And I do, this is my second Bothy Threads kit, I believe. And yes, it is. And I do use so far anyway, I do use the Aida that comes in these kits. So because it's Zweigart Aida, it's not stiff and it doesn't smell funky and it's big enough, etc. So I happily use the kit Aida that comes with it. So this is the Cut Through Haunted House. And this is only my second Bothy Threads kit, and my first one is one of their monochromatic ones. It's I've shown it before. I finished it. It's one of those that's like 95% of the stitching is just solid black on so it's a silhouette on a fabric, and so it was quite different because there's just like almost all one color stitching. So this one is very different because, as you can see, there's a lot of details. So here is my start on that. And it's, as somebody who stitches 90% of the time on higher count fabrics and linens, hand-dyed fabrics, etc., I gotta say, sometimes it's just really nice to pick up a piece of Aida. It's easy, and it looks fine. There's nothing wrong with the way it looks. I guess it's not as fancy or whatever, but there's something about being able to really see those holes and having everything be really clear. It's just really nice to have it be so easy. One thing I did want to say that I'm really impressed with by this kit is it comes with 2 copies of the pattern, which is not necessary. In looking at these, I do not find it necessary, but because they're very large printouts. It's like 4 pages. I'm just going to show you. So it's pretty large. There's big spaces. It's very visible. There's a couple of things that really impressed me. Is you get 2 copies of the pattern. You get one like this, and then you get one like this. That's all of the back stitching and the French knots. So this is all of the hole stitching, and this is all the back stitching and the French knots. And it's really nice to have it separated like that. It's really unnecessary. Like, I look at because they printed it so large, I look at the back stitching pattern, and I could totally see what needed to be done, even if they overlaid it on top of the other one. But it's really nice. It's a luxury that they do that. The other thing I really like is, okay, I won't show you the pattern again, is there are if it's not back stitched and it's not French knots, it's hole stitches. But there are a lot of hole stitches that are 2 strands, and this is 16 count fabric, by the way. Most of the thing is done in 2 strands, but then they have, to give you that sort of 3-dimensional look, a fair amount of the interior of the house, some pieces are done in 1 strand. And what they have done to make it really easy for you to remember, you don't have to remember which is which, they have given you the same symbol for that color, but look here. So this is the 2 strands, the typical 2-strand symbol. Next to it is the 1 strand. So just at a glance, you immediately know, okay, this is 1 strand, not 2. It just makes it so easy. You don't have to, like most patterns when they do that kind of thing, like dimensions, or even my realist kits, which I think are fabulous, you have to like really pay attention, and you have to keep reminding yourself, okay, this symbol is 1 strand, etc. You have to pay real close attention to that. This is painfully obvious. If If it's got all that darker stuff is one strand. So I love that. Anyway, so that is all that I have worked on cross stitch wise since last we spoke. As I said, I've joined Semi-Stained Stitchers, which is a fabulous group. It's not that easy to get into. If you want in now in the end of the month, you can get in. You have to have a password, and by the time I post this video, it may be too late. But if you want in and you see this video before the end of January, put a comment below, and I'll give you the password. So I don't know if they're going to be doing that next month or not. It's just this month. I just happened to get lucky and find out about the password and find out that you could get in, and I joined because I've been wanting to join for a long time. And as somebody who likes to count stitches and is motivated by counting, it's really working really great for me, and so I really like it. So if you want the password and it's not too late when you hear this, message me on Instagram at cmd586 or comment below and I'll give it to you. So anyway, because I know I was super happy to be able to join. Okay, so we don't know. I don't know, because I don't think Jessie Marie has drawn yet. I don't know what our next month WIPGO goals are, but I am very excited about how well I'm doing with WIPGO at the moment. So I don't have a lot of intention of getting a lot of finishes this year, but I really just want to, a lot of my projects that are on my WIPGO board are big things, and I just want to work lots of days on them. And I should get a handful of finishes, but I want to work lots of days on and see big progress on some of these projects that have been kind of ignored for a while. So anyway, now I'm going to show you some crocheting stuff. So if you only came here for the cross stitching, then that's it for the cross stitching. I am going to show you just a handful of the things that I have finished over the last few months in crochet, and so ta-ta. If you are not here for that, then I will see you hopefully in a couple of weeks. And if you're interested in crochet, then I'll spend a few minutes now talking about crochet. I'm not gonna talk about books or anything like that. So really, if you just came here for the cross stitch, you're safe to go now. Bye, guys. Okay, for those of you who are still here, so I am really taking to this crocheting thing. I'm trying to not let it take over my life, because cross stitch is still really my first love. But I am really loving the ability to make practical things and to finish things faster, and like the immediate gratification of crochet. So I'm getting pretty into it. So one of the things that I made that I am super thrilled with is this bag, which I actually use. It is made out of tape yarn. It's specifically made out of Rewind brand. It's Lion brand Rewind yarn. And it's like flat yarn. And it was on sale or clearance or something at Joann. Hopefully they're not discontinuing it, but I bought a bunch of it, and because I just wanted to try it. And you can't really see in this. I should have brought the yarn back here, but I just wanted to be casual about this. But anyway, Lion brand Rewind yarn, and on the Lion brand website they have this bag called the Siesta Key bag. It's a free pattern, and that is what this is. And it crocheted up pretty fast. And I really like it. And just making something that's so practical. I take this to work, and I love that I get to take this to work and use it on a daily basis. I'm a little bit nervous about it. So far it's fine, but I do kind of worry that at some point I'm going to have like some breakage or something. But if I do, I do. I'm going to get my use out of it. And I've got more yarn. I can make another one. So, all right. So there's that. Another thing I have is this motif. I don't believe I showed this before. I made it quite a while ago, but I don't believe I showed it before. This one, I can't remember the pattern. It's a free pattern. It's on Yarnspirations, and there is a crochet crowd tutorial for it. This is one of the most complex squares I've made, and the blanket, it's meant to go, I think, either 35 or 39 of them together to make a blanket. And I just made one, and maybe someday I'll make the rest of them. But I just wanted to, I was in the mood one day, and I was just like, I just want to crochet something. So I found this tutorial, and I followed it, and I made this thing. And it's really beautiful. There's, here, I'll put it up close. There's the center of it. I can't see what you're seeing, so hopefully you're getting this. Anyway, I like the Crochet Crowd. The Crochet Crowd is a great resource for learning crochet. So if you're looking for ways to learn, then Crochet Crowd gets my recommendation. Oh, I bought some, I think it was for my birthday. I got some Furls crochet hooks, which I didn't bring back here, but they're awesome. I have to say they're worth the money. So another thing I have gotten really into with crochet is I recently wanted to try out crochet thread, and so I have a few colors of it. And one of the things I found was some bookmarks, and this one, and I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know about crochet bookmarks. I mean, I'm a big book person, and like, even though this is crochet thread and it's pretty fine, it's still too thick for me as far as I'm concerned for putting in a book. But that's just me. But nevertheless, it turned out a pretty thing, and I learned how to make a tassel. So I made this one, and I don't know that it's showing up real good in this picture, but this is basically hearts stacked on top of each other. Let me see here if I can do this a little bit better. It was quite fun to make, and it turned out very beautiful. I have some good pictures of this on my Instagram, so please feel free to look there if this is not adequate. So it's like 5 hearts or something stacked on top of each other. Pretty complex pattern, but not too bad once I got going on it. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, so you can find it there. It's called Greater Love. The title of the pattern, I think, is on my Instagram, so you can look there, but I think it's called the Greater Love bookmark. And I did that, and then I also made one with a slightly large, I didn't have the hook that was called for. I had the hooks on either side of what was called for. So then I made it again. This time I didn't make the tassel just because I was being lazy, with a slightly larger hook. So I want to show you same pattern, same thread, difference between like 0.5 millimeter or something of in the crochet hook. These are like pretty close in size hooks, but look, big difference in the size of the product that they turn out. I made the small one first and the large one second. So, and I think I like the small one better. And then I also made this. This is a, like, I think it's called a fantail stitch. It's not double-sided, so made this one out of brown thread. Same thickness of thread. This is all like number 10, Lydia's classic 10 or whatever it is. So I also made this big scarf. It's kind of a super scarf in the dimensions. I found this stitch I really wanted to try, and then I tried it and I was like, this is a great stitch. I found a Scorpio Rising Crochet on Instagram, not on Instagram, on YouTube, has a Sweet Kiss stitch, she calls it. I couldn't find it anywhere else. And I followed her tutorial, and I think this is like a 2-weight yarn. Anyway, I wanted to make a scarf out of it, but it's a one direction stitch. I don't know if that's the right lingo or not, but basically one end is not going to look the same as the other. So I decided to do 2 ends and then crochet them together, like whip stitch them together. So that's what you have there that goes at my neck. And let's see here. Sorry, I want to put it on for you so you can see how great it looks. And it's cozy and warm, so it's pretty long. It's kind of, like I said, kind of like a super scarf. So and you can double it up. Anyway, there's the pattern for the stitch itself, and I came up with the idea for making it, the dimensions and stuff, to making it a big scarf. And I love it. It's comfy and warm, and I just wanted to do something with this fabulous stitch. So there is that. So I highly recommend the Scorpio Rising YouTube channel for like really cool, like textured stitches. So another thing I made, and this one I got the pattern out of a book I have. If somebody wants to know what book, I can tell you what book, but it's like a 500 crochet stitches book and that I own. And this one is one where you're making these motifs. You're making these little like clockworky, like little clockwork motifs, and then you put them together, and it's super time consuming, and I don't think I'll necessarily do this one again because I felt like it was just a little too time consuming. Also, each of these motifs being stitched together, like, I just feel like someday they're gonna fall apart. But that's kind of like my lack of experience. So, down the road I might do it again and feel more secure about it. But anyway, and it's very like non-functional, but it is pretty. Like, it's not very warm, of course, but it is pretty. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to show, it's not the last thing I've made. The last thing I'm going to show is this fabulous blanket. Look at that. Believe it or not, I'm not even into purples, but my son's favorite color is purple, and so I just kind of got inspired by him to make this blanket. This one's not for him. I'm going to make one for him that's not exactly like this, but is similar to this, but to some, like, he requested it, and so it's going to be kind of similar to this, inspired by this, but not exactly the same. So anyway, this one, this is basically my own design. I found a tutorial to do the popcorn stitch, which is the lumpy stuff. And then I got yarns from Ice Yarn, and this is like a saver yarn that's acrylic. And then this other section, so I've got a couple of sections I've got the sections of popcorn, and I've got 2 different yarns that I'm using for those. I've got this variegated stuff that unfortunately they don't seem to make anymore, but is amazing. And then I've got the solid purple. And then I've got, I think that this dark purple, it's like almost black purple. It's called Universe, and it's like shiny purple with black wool. And those are just double crochets. And then the rainbowish is the Picasso. Also, all of this from Ice Yarn, the Picasso. And the Picasso is double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, so 3 rows. And then I just repeated that until I got to the end. And it's so warm and cozy, and it's so like fabulous and unusual, and I love it. And And that's all I'm going to show you in the way of crochet. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope to get a whole bunch of stitching and a little bit of crochet in over the next few weeks, and hope to come back to you sometime in February. Hopefully I won't be gone for another several months. Hopefully we'll be able to do this more regularly, but I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself in that area. So I love you all, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.